Okay, thanks everybody. You got it worked out. So, we're gonna call the meeting to order and, if you would, our Daniel, our city clerk will.
Ron Weiss,
Here.
Luann Rooks. Here. Renita Jones. Here. Dave Perdue.
Here.
It's not here. Tony Baldridge.
Here.
That's on the phone.
There, that's right. See, tell me here.
That's a here, I'm a here.
All right, if you would please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. For the liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you to the crowd coming in. Obviously, you know why you're here, and it is a very important meeting for us as well as for you. I'm just gonna kind of go quickly about how we're gonna do this. We did move up this segment of the meeting on the agenda, so you guys probably don't want to be here for all of our other stuff. You're more than welcome to stay, you're more than welcome to leave, that's what we want to do. But we will have the planning and zoning discussion first. What we're gonna do this. Our planning and zoning head is Daryl back over here in the back. He's gonna come up and share with us information, and then we're gonna go straight into the presentation. And then we'll open it up for comments from whoever would like to speak. If you would like to talk to the board, have any discussions, if you would, please sign this document up here so that we can recognize that you do want to speak to the board. So with that, we'll take the questions and have that open session, like I said, after we do the plan and zoning discussion, have you guys do your presentation, and then like I said, we'll move into the public comments. Good? Okay, with that, Darryl, would you like to come up and introduce yourself? And
Your neighbor guys, Daryl Barber, I'm the chairperson for the Village Forces and Planning and Zoning Commission. I believe you have a copy of our what we call findings of fact and recommendations letters. So in your packet, I'll just read through it here real quick. If you have questions, once you're done, feel free. Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on December 11th, 2025. Consider the application from Kelly Development Group LLC, which requests to rezone a 33.37 acre parcel on Horseshoe Bend Parkway. The Board of Trustees approved a zoning request for the same property during the July 9th, 2025 meeting. That approved zoning included two lots, 1.67 and 1.88 acres that are adjacent to Horseshoe Bend Parkway that were zoned commercial. Remainder of the property, 33.37 acres, was zoned R1 residential with a special use permit to allow for the construction of attached villas within the R1 residential area. The current application does not request any change to the existing commercial zoning of the two lots adjacent to Horseshoe Bend Parkway. The applicant requests that the 33.37 acres be rezoned as follows. A 2.9 acre parcel along the shoreline between the Treetops Village and the existing dock for the Bush Estate would be zoned as R1 residential. A 1.6 acre parcel along the shoreline of Redding Regency Coast subdivision would also be zoned as R1 residential. The remaining 28.87 acres would be zoned as R2 residential, which would allow construction of multifamily dwellings. Upon roll call of the members of the commission, there were sufficient members in attendance to conduct the hearing. Village staff stated there was proper and timely application in compliance with all applicable requirements of the Village Forces and Planning and Zoning ordinance. Village staff stated that proper and timely public notice of the hearing was given in accordance with section 32-176 of the Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning ordinance. Prior to the public hearing, the village received email correspondence from 6 individuals with questions or concerns about the requested rezoning. All 6 individuals stated they were opposed to the requested rezoning, and one specifically requested that his email be read into the record of the meeting. All 6 of these emails, along with a letter from the Camden County Public Water Supply District number 4, were read into the record. The applicant and his representatives made a presentation regarding their plans for development of the site. Specifically, they are planning on constructing approximately 350 condominium units In the area, they were requesting the R2 residential zoning, along with some single-family homes in the two areas they were requesting the R1 residential zone. While we don't have firm pricing of the units this time, they anticipate the price of the condos and homes will range between $800,000 and $5 million. The applicant was unable to provide a firm number on the total number of homes and condominiums to be built. Also, they don't have firm plans at this time on how the two commercial lots will be developed. The commercial lots may simply be landscaped to provide a nice entrance to the development. During the public hearing, the public was provided with the opportunity to address the commission regarding this application. The commission heard from approximately 9 individuals during the public comment period. Most of those that addressed the commission public hearing had similar concerns as those that had submitted written correspondence. The primary areas of concern are as follows: increased traffic congestion for the car and boat in an area of the lake that already has too much traffic. Short-term rentals. Residents don't want the short-term rentals that would likely be associated with condominiums. Many reference the study done for the village's comprehensive plan that showed the majority of residents don't want to see more short-term rentals within the village. The applicant was unsure if their covenants and restrictions for the homeowners association would allow for short-term rentals in the development. Several individuals stated they preferred the existing zoning of the property over what was being requested by the applicant. Impacts to scenic views from the existing neighborhoods adjacent to the planned development, and lack of details in the site plan and too many unknowns. The lack of details in the site plan made it difficult for commissioners and the public to visualize how the site would be developed. Other than the owner, applicant, and their representatives, there weren't any members of the public that specifically spoke in favor of the requested zoning. However, some individuals did state that they liked the look of the proposed buildings. Questions were asked by members of the commission as well as those in attendance. Prior to the commission voting on the matter, a straw poll was conducted amongst the village residents and property owners that were in attendance at the public hearing. The results of the straw poll were as follows: 9 people were in favor of the rezoning request, and 13 were against the rezoning request. After discussion was held amongst the commission members, a vote was taken with consideration of the requirements found in section 32-177 subparagraph F of the village of Horseshoe planning and zoning ordinance. A motion is seconded and made to recommend approval of the requested rezoning. The vote on the motion to recommend approval of the application resulted in a split decision, with 3 commissioners voting in favor and 3 commissioners voting in opposition. For the record, one of the commissioners that voted in favor of the rezoning request participated in the hearing via phone, and we were unable to see him physically cast his vote. By order of the chairperson of the Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission, Daryl Barber, chairperson. And I would like to apologize to the trustees. I was made aware of that requirement about taking the vote, and it simply did not stick in my brain. So that is on me. So,
Okay,
questions or?
anybody? Daryl?
So that, and then that in reality makes the vote 3-2.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I totally spaced it out.
Yeah,
That's on me.
Okay. I understand.
So let me,
And I guess one thing, we do not have that top map at our disposal at our public hearing.
just for you know, for the public, we were given this recently, which is where the details drawing of the layout of the property. Anything else for Daryl? Is there anything else you'd like to say? Okay, before we go any farther, we have Dave Purdue, who's up in top right corner driving, who's one of our trustees. And then we have our city attorney, prosecuting attorney on, who's Todd Miller down the right corner. So that's pretty much who attends our board meetings, so they were able to Zoom and be with us now. So they may participate. If you have any questions for them, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to respond to anything.
I just want to remind everybody, when you're speaking, speak up so they can hear you. Sometimes it gets a little muddled on the parties.
So with that, we invite the developers up, whoever wants to come up and talk. I know that this is round two, so apologize for having to do this again, but I'm sure it's in the best interest for you guys. I'm glad you're here to do that. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. My name is Mark Kelly. I'm the developer of the property along with my three partners. They're all sitting right beside me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Before I speak the application, I want to speak as to the long-term investment in this community. I'm not making a change to the character of the Four Seasons. I'm asking to invest responsibly for decades to come. The rezoning application before you is intentionally structured to protect existing neighbors. Shoreline areas adjacent to Regency Cove and Treetop remain single family. The R2 designation is concentrated where multifamily development already makes sense along the water's edge and inside of the cove and away from the established homes. The purpose of this request is containment, not expansion. Concentration development along gives us preserving buffers, managing traffic access, and reduces impact slightly. Rather than spreading density across the property. Traffic will not move through existing neighborhoods. A dedicated access road approved by the road district ensures that. Stormwater will not increase beyond the pre-development conditions code. Water and sewer capacity are being upgraded throughout based on us prepaying our connection fees ahead of time and upfront, which we've agreed to. I also want to address the concern about the short-term rentals. Zoning does not authorize nor prohibit them. Village policy does. Whatever rules the village adopts now or in the future, we will apply completely to this development. I'd like to have one more perspective that often doesn't get voiced at these meetings, and that's the people who are not present in the room tonight. Large projects like this represent years of employment, not weeks, not months. We're talking about hundreds of jobs throughout a half a decade. Electricians, plumbers, concrete crews, carpenters, engineers, surveyors, and more. They're then followed up by permanent jobs, property management, maintenance, marina service, local businesses that support this project. These are good local jobs that allow people to raise their families here, to buy homes here, send their kids to school here. Many of these people who depend on this work are not able to be here this evening because they may be working, commuting, or caring for their families. Historically, public hearings tend to attract those who have the time and the flexibility to attend, which is important and valuable, but not always a full cross-section of the community, which will live with the long-term outcome of these decisions. Your responsibility as a commission is to represent the entire community, current residents, future residents, working families, business owners, and the next generation. Not just voice that voice which is the loudest or given sign. Tonight's decision is not about approval for a site plan, building height. It's not about the final unit count. It's about whether this request fits within the comprehensive plan and the zoning framework that you have already laid out. Knowing that every future phase comes through here for full public scrutiny with compliance and village ordinances. Progress is rarely quiet, but responsible growth done deliberately, transparently, and with rules strengthens the community rather than weakens one. I trust this commission to make recommendations based on the facts, the law, and the long-term health of Four Seasons. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
So my name is Matt Marshke, I'm a project engineer. I'll go over a little bit of new information we didn't have for the planning. We sent you this in your packet there. It's how the site kind of rolls, how the multifamily is positioned along the lake edge of the property, how the residential single family portions are isolated here on this side, here on this side. We've closed off legal accesses to the property here with gates for emergency use by both neighbors here and here. cul-de-sac here allows us to turn around here. This is what 600 parking spaces look like for a 300 unit condominium. Here's the new road coming into the property, here's the 2 commercial lights on top. Lots of green space. The other plan that we had approved, we were doing single family all around the lake edge, and then we were doing duplexes up this road. That's not the plan here, which would conserve more timber, especially with the buffers between the Regency Cove subdivision and the treetops.
And you might show them that to the bird, well.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to see that, be happy to. Question, we go over question that you gotta come up with them. I'm gonna turn it over to Elise Schuman, who's helping us with some engineering and utilities bringing into the site.
I'm Lee Schuman with Health Engineering and Surveying. I've already signed in for my information. I just want to let you guys know there have been concerns about traffic. And one of the things that we've confirmed is City of Lake Ozark is upgrading the Horseshoe Bend Parkway and Bagnell Dam Boulevard traffic signal. So it'll be upgraded with the same technology that you guys have at Duckhead Road, which allows remote access to change the timer settings anytime. And that will significantly help with the Sunday exit from the vacationers. So no longer giving priority to Bagnell Dam Boulevard, but giving priority to Horseshoe Bend Parkway, getting everyone down to 42. So that'll be a big help on those Sunday mornings. The other thing is we know that there's a lot of boat traffic on this main channel. One of the things going for docks is that the Horseshoe Bend, or I'm sorry, the water patrol is who will dictate what size the dock can be at this location, how big it can be, and how many slips it can have, how far it can protrude into the channel. The most we can protrude into the channel would be 350 feet, and that's an Ameren regulation. That's their absolute maximum if they even chose to go that far. To look at in comparison, Cypress directly across the channel from this, the dock in below 350 feet from the lake, that still leaves a channel 2,000 feet wide, almost half a mile, for boat traffic. Also, if a dock were placed projecting into the main channel from anywhere in this, it would directly line up with the island, which already, hopefully, directs boat traffic more towards the center. We've seen people wreck on this, it's unfortunate, but with that boat travel traffic, it lines up perfectly with the maximum dock envelope from this peninsula. The docks would stay within the R3 envelope being proposed. So they would not be cluttering up either cove, which has single family residence. And those are the condo docks, that is. The single family developments would have single family docks for their personal boats. On the water and sewer, the developer has met and myself met with Camden County number 4 Water and Sewer District. And one of the things that, they have developed, which is going to significantly improve their district, is proper impact fees. That way, when there are new connections, they are saving and putting away for upgrades to the water system and the sewer system. One of the things they've voiced is that they'd like to have an additional well. The high flow weekends on their water source puts a lot of stress on that well pump. And this connection at $12,000 per unit for water and sewer, this will help them upgrade not only to the point of serving this development, but helping get over that hurdle that they have right now with high flow events. It's also an issue that the Racket Club wastewater treatment plant has some minor issues here and there, nothing catastrophic, but things that they like to tackle. And the impact fees from this project would fund not only those improvements, but the capacity increase to serve this development, along with some other upgrades along the way in the collection system. So, do you have any questions for me on the infrastructure around the site? And there is plenty of electricity from Ameren, so.
The $12,000 you stated per unit, will that go forward to people outside of your So that means if I build a single family home, my permit fee for water goes way up.
I'm not sure what they charge for new homes.
25, but it used to, it was $825 for 20-something years, then it went up to, it's over 2,000 now. But it's just not, I'm just water, I have my.
Yeah, they analyzed our site and said to take that sewer flow, it was
Well, the sewer flow.
and water, sewer, provide water.
I don't
and
need
take
sewer from them. I have my own.
So I don't know the exact rates for every property in every situation, but that was what they extended.
Because even for a duplex, I have to pay for 2 different pits.
I would recommend meeting with the water and sewer district to.
Yeah, I don't believe that this, has anything to do with yours.
And that's not.
Yeah,
Right, I don't, yeah, or anyone else's.
Or anybody else. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody, Matt.
And this one, this is a significant project. This is something that normally, if there weren't the collection system nearby or water system, they would look at building their own water tower, building their own sewer treatment plant. So it's best to connect to an existing one, especially when the connections are right along Horseshoe Bend Parkway. And just upgrade the existing facilities. DNR, actually, they don't require it, but they would at times require it with a preliminary engineering report. If we were going and say, we're putting in our own wastewater treatment plant here, we'd have to do what's called a preliminary engineering report and prove that there are no facilities nearby to upgrade or add into. Because DNR wants less permits. They want more oversight over the existing facilities. And every time you throw more plants out there with more permits, they have to worry about operators that aren't doing a good job. They know that the facility out there, the racket club, is being monitored and tested properly. They would rather that flow go there and to a qualified individual with a high class license. Same thing with water source. The more we poke holes in the ground, we're just adding more contamination points to our groundwater. They would rather we connect to a facility that already has a well. A backup well would be great for Kenton County number 4, just for logistic purposes, but it's great to have to connect into an existing system. No new permit, no additional operator, you have an overlapping maintenance and repair services. It's just efficient.
What is the time frame of the time you guys are paying this impact fee, which I understand whether it was like 40 years, that they want that impact fee total before they even say, okay, with this project? What's the time frame of you then?
The rest he has to pay up front,
Yes,
and we will pay up front.
okay, my question though is, do you know what the time frame is when you pay up front and when the water company's gonna make it another well? Because we're already being
So
put.
the answer to say, it's about $4 million we're gonna pay up front, and it's gonna take us about 4.5 years to do this project and slowly move into phasing into it.
Okay,
So it's not all hitting all at once. There's plenty of time for all these things to happen as we move forward then. So the money goes in up front, even though we're not gonna be required, putting us, the load on the services
right,
for 2, 3, 4 years on a lot of these projects in China here.
okay.
We can't speak for the water district, water and sewer district, but I do know that they've been planning these improvements for a while.
Yes,
And once this funding becomes available, I'm sure they want to act on it because they've expressed, just issues with the racket club plant. They'd love to knock those out, and this gives them the best time for funding.
it's just about them.
Yeah, this is kind of them saying like, hey, we get this money, we are definitely good to go on this. We've been planning it, and this is the sign that we need that says it's time to go.
And I know there's other requirements that the development has to meet before the water company will move along, like the DMR or whatever. I think there's like 4 different agreements. So I feel the water company's pretty much kind of got the overlook of that part
Yes.
of this development.
Yeah,
Feel comfortable. I go to no board meetings and I know how to talk, how to do things and everything, so I feel.
Yeah, they've got on staff, or not on staff, but they've got a consultant engineer that, not only designs stuff for them, but several other districts and cities and counties throughout the state. And I'm confident in their ability to review our design work and make sure that it's correct. We won't be designing the plant upgrades or the well upgrades. They will handle that themselves to their specifications and needs. But the collection system and distribution that that the developer installs to get from the parkways to the condo units and all that infrastructure. All state construction, which works for Cameron County number 4, will be reviewing all those plans and inspecting all of the installation to make sure it's done correctly.
Now, the water company does that, developments too, we have to check the pipes and all that.
So we get a really good water and sewer district.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions?
Luann, to answer your question, the impact fee right now for a single family home is $22.84.
Okay, about
Okay.
2,300 for us.
In 26, before this project was coming, it was going to $6,000 per home for a hookup,
For hookup of water.
just water.
Maybe
And then it'd be an additional $6,000 per home for sewer.
So $12,000 per home then,
So it is, so.
yeah.
It used to be 825.
But I'll have you, but that's to help them get the money so they can go toward building new stuff for our Horseshoe Bend. Try to think of that to help you.
With the upgrades that this project, funds, they could reanalyze after increasing those capacities. And they might not have to charge that much for others after this project. It all depends on how that upgrade goes and what their.
It should be in pretty good shape.
And the 6,000 per January, they usually start in January.
It says here proposed impact fee starting 2026, so that's January 1st, and that's for any other small builder, just spec home guys we have in the area. I mean, they're gonna be paying that upfront to get that connection.
Still cheaper than punching your own well and building your own onsite.
It is.
I've already done the sewer myself, so I know how costly it can be.
Glad we got our. Okay, any other? First.
Yeah, so I'd like to speak on behalf of the seller. There were a few things that I just wanted to clarify. I went and reviewed the video of the planning and zoning meeting. I think that there's some things that could use some clarification. So, the main point of opposition from the previous meeting was folks that were concerned about the multifamily component of this development. And I think it's worth noting that the village's comprehensive plan already shows a large portion of this project should be multifamily. It's this section over here that it shows as keeping as R1 residential. And I think that the future developers have put together what to me seems like an improvement on that idea, because they're being very respectful of their neighbors and giving their neighbors a buffer while still doing something that's in alignment with the comprehensive plan. In addition to that, there were a lot of folks who were concerned about what is this going to do to the view. They were concerned about, am all I going to see from, where I'm at now are these, really tall condominium buildings, which wouldn't be the case because their plan actually preserves way more trees than what there would be if this would turn into a single family subdivision. Almost everybody that has property that adjoins it would see people's backyards if they did that. Through that meeting, the main points of contentions were the water and sewer, which they had talked about, and the road, which it seems like there's good plans already in place, for both of those issues. And I think it is important, we just mentioned it, not all of this is gonna happen at one time. I think in the previous meeting, everybody was, having a little bit of a freak out moment because everybody thinks, poof, 300 new people show up tomorrow, and that's not how it'll happen at all. It's 100% gonna be dictated by market absorption. Because it doesn't matter, they can build all 300 condos in one stretch as fast as they can. That doesn't mean they'll have buyers that fill them. And I know that these guys are business savvy enough, they're not gonna be building buildings that are gonna sit empty. That it'll really be whatever the market allows, that's how quickly people will move into the area. And then the last thing that I noticed that folks were concerned about, and I brought a handout for you guys, is folks were concerned about what is this gonna do to property values? And I took some time today to pull some recent comps. So I limited this to just transactions that have happened in the last 180 days. And I found two very good examples in here. The first one shows a home that looks directly at Regatta Bay. And you can see that it sold for $197,500. So where it's located on a map. And then if you look, there's two very similar comps that show that price is in line with two homes that aren't sitting at your condominiums. And then there's another second example, and I, won't read you the details, I'll let you look at it for yourself, but there's another map that shows where that's located. And it also shows, where the comp is at, it sort of justifies, where that's at. So, I know that there's a lot of fear that, this could dramatically,
Talk to her.
property values, but, I just don't think that there's, data that supports that. So, does anyone have any questions for me?
I'm gonna clarify one thing. You said that this area over here is listed R1 and the other side is R2. Is that correct? My understanding was everything is R1 from like the end of the road to
So-
and only the center section. Well, actually, the whole thing is R1.
Yeah.
Except for the special use possibly.
So to clarify, what you're talking about is the current zoning.
Right.
What I'm talking about is the village's comprehensive plan, where the village, whenever you did that comprehensive plan, says this is our vision for how this land should be used. Things don't always necessarily go together, but that does mean at the time that the village did that, you guys deemed that that area would be worthy of multi-family use.
Maybe, because I was on a comprehensive plan and I've been on planning and zoning for years. My husband was on planning and zoning in the 90s. Okay, and that full property for Anheuser-Busch at that time was R1 totally. Okay, so I don't know where that came from, because I mean, my property on there is not the right zoning either, but is this the latest?
This is the comprehensive plan that was put together in 2017 by the trustees and the committee. That map over there was the current, that was what it was before this was created.
Yeah.
We got a comprehensive.
Yeah. But, just, I guess just to be clear, I'm not saying that that's what it was zoned as, I'm just saying that's at whatever time you did the comprehensive plan, that's what the village said, this would be acceptable use, and so that's why I bring it up, because we're asking for something similar to that. But what we think is, the same ask, but in a more respectful way of our neighbors.
Okay, question. Yeah, because you're talking about how the condos are say more vegetation trees because they won't have a single home.
Yeah.
Condo complexes I see around do not have any trees, no vegetation. That's the biggest gripe I have about these condos. Topside are all these condos. Even the fancier ones don't have either. So how are we gonna be assured that you guys are gonna be putting some type of trees in our midst there, so it breaks up the harshness of the building?
And I'll just say as a developer of it, that when you're going to a project and you're gonna sell the very top of the top, and you're gonna attract that kind of money, you can't just let it be all rock and gravel and think of it. We've got a $2.5 million tree add-on budget in our budget for our condominium and our houses. After the site's been developed, go back with plantings, with trees, no green, no grass, we like that. What we find in the condos is the condo owners themselves don't want a tall growing tree out in front of the place where they can't see the lake, we all understand that, so we try to get between the buildings and back towards parking lots, obviously, that site needs to stay green. We've got an amazing landscape job on the property now, that we've want to preserve as much around the midsection. Up in here, but we've got all through, if you come down to the parkway into here, we've got a tennis court down here, it's already existing, we keep that. We've got-
Well, the tennis court's getting covered up also, but we're keeping the big building, yeah.
The new one.
But the important thing to note is if you had all single family homes through here. Almost, not every tree, but almost all the trees will have to go, so you have to build, you'll have to only save the trees that you can fit between the houses. One of the main reasons you talk about the condos not having any trees, it's because nobody comes back and plants them, because through the construction process and the heavy equipment, you kill the root system, even if you don't knock the tree down, it's gonna die. In the other case, because they have so much land, but they're doing all of the development along the lake shore, they're able to keep this existing trees, because there's a lot of mature trees along both sides of this entrance. There's a lot of mature trees over here above this this single family area. So this is all, wooded now, so it wouldn't be difficult for them to keep, some of the mature trees that's there. But the only reason they can do that is because they have so much extra space, because they're focusing development here. Most condominium developments, they're crammed on a lot less space.
So is that 350 condos?
So I noticed you have some of these.
We have 300 treatment.
Pardon me?
There's 300 on that plan.
So are these on the future condo buildings, or I know these have lines around them, these don't?
Future.
So none of this exists today. The ones that have the lines on it, it shows a rough floor plan of what it might look like.
Oh.
That's all that it's showing.
Okay.
No, let's see.
So, question I have, what are some of the condos that you complexes you have built?
It's been a little while, since I've been here with the Hamptons, my dog days.
Okay.
Sunset Mall.
The Atlantis Island property, I initially started at more right to the developer, not the owner of that. Newport condominiums, they live there to 2 mile mark, right, that's what we- Sunset Hall attached those at the 10. I did, I did about 40 homes in the Villages area and kind of surrounding areas there. I built, Bella, well, World Mark the Club, which is in the State Park area up there, facing, it might be, built down about 35 Blake while we're doing, starting. 100 units there, which,
Plaza Gardens.
well, no, I just did this, the one building I worked at, whatever guy got involved there.
The one by the
We didn't do
hurricane.
it. Sunset Hall.
Sunset.
That grid, green roofs, white buildings. And new gated,
The townhomes at the end of HH.
that was Sunset Hall, so
Oh, is that the white ones?
that's the white ones, I guess.
Okay, with that being said, and with my concern about trees and vegetation, I'm not familiar with all these complexes being built. But I know some, now Hampton's a very nice looking complex, but, and I think it says far enough, we have some green, we get some green like between the seawall and the grass or something that's, yeah, something that.
And you know, what I guess I would tell you is, the times were different then for what I thought of condominiums and the price ranges and the people that were buying them versus where it's going today. I feel like we're Hampton's plus. We're higher than Hampton. The others were kind of an affordable condo, at the lake, and that was kind of the mold at the time back in 2005, 2006, 2007, and then it stopped, obviously, but,
What about your,
as I was gonna say, as developers then, all those projects, we wouldn't go with gravel and rock, we go with grass. We wanted green, we wanted shrubs, trees, landscaping.
to me, I think of integrity of building for season. I don't want us to turn into a all conduct and and I know there's a lot over there now, but like Regatta Bay. There trees comes to, that's another question on this section right here. I call it the ridge, you're gonna come in here, like you don't have anything growing, but. Like the other day, because I attended as a resident, there was mention of something about maybe doing some garages up there or something like that. How do we know that you're not gonna go in there and cut these down and put garages or whatever, that will then tear down the trees and then we get it.
We're 50-foot buffer they're at.
Well, you have a control when we go through the site plan process. We pick up both these elements. One, is the landscape adequate? And two, where the garage is going in the project. We talked about a garage program in it, but at this point, that's the site plan over there that they're going with. And right now, there's no garages in the program. You get back to your landscape question, your code doesn't require landscape. Your code is very weak.
Yeah, so that's what we.
Right, and so the comments from him today is gonna
What we got now.
is gonna give you what you asked for, but your code is terrible when it comes to landscape.
Yeah.
But when a developer comes like this and says he's gonna landscape, he's making that commitment above your code, so. I think that right now, if you're not requiring, he's gonna have to have it to sell it.
And then buffers, you're talking about buffers, what type of buffers would you be talking about? I know on some of them, there's.
There's the side setback that.
Yeah, I think, what covered it?
Well, you're talking, because you got Regency, you got Regatta Bay over, Regency over here.
Right now.
And even though right now your map shows that you're not building anything right along that line, I don't think. Yeah, but here.
Yeah, see, there'll be the road here, and then this slopes up. And then you can see right here, we about 50 feet is the minimum we have on this right here. All the way to the treetops, we have at least 50 feet that would be allowed to grow back.
Okay.
And same side over here, Regatta too.
So that would leave you, possibly, as you were saying earlier, trees if you do your parking lot there and ruin roots, it kills trees a lot of times.
We're gonna
So,
kill about 90% of trees, yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna lie to you.
that's a bad thing about that.
It is, it is.
But, so if that happens, what kind of buffer, let's say along that way where you have your parking lot and your, Regency, what other type of buffer could you possibly put in there that would help the homeowners there?
Evergreens.
Okay, you think
Usually
everybody
about
would
the one, that's usually the one mixing with a few others. Stay real on your type of pole.
Low and high, different colors, there's a landscape architect will solve.
be, and then your complex too, you will have where they'll be getting water, not like someplace else, I know in the past years ago.
Absolutely everything.
We died and they never did anything with
They
it.
can't shut it off, they won't be able to shut it off, they're gonna have irrigation on completely all the time.
And also select native plants that doesn't require that much irrigation.
I have hired a landscape firm that does landscape architecture for large scale projects like this, which is not normal. Normally you just, let's go to the nursery grass and stuff.
Right,
So this person, this is someone that does this all the time for large scale projects. That's why I said we have a $2.5 million budget for replanting. In this area, it's not just breaking village land and turn it rock and let everyone look at horrible things. We want to be at the pinnacle, we want to be at the top. We're striving to be that project.
okay,
We really are.
okay, that's all I have on that. Question, I think.
Any other part of your presentation?
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to,
Can I speak?
can we just let the board see if they have any questions for that and.
Oh, okay.
Comment?
Yeah. Well, you know me,
Well,
I got much, oh,
okay.
okay.
Dave, we're gonna go into the questions from the board right now, so we're gonna open that up and sound like Renita has a question.
Yes, I hear you. I can still hear you. I've heard everything so far. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so one of my questions is, you also mentioned in the planning and zoning committee meeting, it was, I don't know, a slip of the tongue or what, but somebody said something about the gate and having room far enough off Horseshoe Bend that there'd be place to turn around back of a boat trailer.
Well, someone accidentally came in with.
An 18-wheeler, basically, we don't be able to turn 18-wheeler around.
Okay, and then you said, well, there's not
That'd be
gonna
an
be a
80
boat,
foot,
so
a
there's,
tractor trailer.
Yeah.
80 feet
okay,
long.
so no boat trailers or anything.
We're not allowed boat trailers on the site, no.
Then I had a question for Curtis.
Mhm.
Because back in July, you made your zoning request was to do R1 special use townhomes, no short-term rent. And you said you weren't doing condos because that's kind of where you normally build condos, and you weren't doing condos because it wasn't the market for condos, it was more townhomes where they more attractive selling things. Now you're saying that this is a great thing for condos, it's profitable. So what made you change your mind between then and now?
If I was gonna develop it, I would develop it the way that we were doing the previous plan. Unfortunately, the buyer that I had brought in for the previous plan, that's, you know, also what he was thinking along the lines of, wasn't able to come up with funds to buy the property. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to develop the property. Whenever I say that the condos, you know, whenever I say that condos are great for this property, I'm not saying condos are great for this property. I'm saying I believe that the plan that they put forward is a very reasonable ask for the surroundings of this particular piece of property. I think it could be developed different ways. Condos are certainly probably the highest and best use as far as return on the investment. A project of this size with the team that I had in place could never even attempt, you know, I would never try and attempt something that big because that's outside of my capacity to do something. But, you know, I put together that map that has the colors painted on it, and really the point is to illustrate that, you know, you can see that we're already in an area that has a lot of multifamily all through there, and if I understand correctly, most of the Village of Four Seasons has deed restricted property where you couldn't even make this ask in a lot of places. I think that's accurate, I don't know that for sure, so I'm making an assumption there. But this is pretty much one of the last places that you could do a project like this in the village. So like I said, I think it's a good plan. I think it's courteous to the neighbors. I think it's reasonable use of the property. Is it what I would try to attempt? I couldn't attempt to do something like that, so.
So your viewpoint changed because you had a different developer that handled.
Yeah, the developer I was helping with this project before, unfortunately, he couldn't get enough investors to get to the closing table. And so, you know, that's where that change happened.
So in regards to that comment, and you're talking about condos and how this complex would fit into it. My concern is you do have residential people around your single family. And to me, in a sense, dropping another condo unit in there by these residential homes is kind of crowding those residential people out. And that's one of my concerns about the whole project thing. So it's not, I know there's a lot of condo complexes.
Yep.
And I totally understand that,
Mhm.
but there's also some residential people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
And I would agree with that. I would say that's very well warranted concern. But I think what mitigates that is they're gonna have their own entrance and exit. I mean, most folks are barely even gonna be able to see what's on this property if it's done well and they are able to keep the trees where they need to keep the trees. So I can appreciate that concern, but I think that this proposal really mitigates the impact, you know, to the neighbors pretty well. You know, they could certainly be asking to do something different that's not as courteous, you know, to the neighbors, but they came forward with a plan that was well put together that kept the neighbors in mind, which is more than a lot of developers do, you know.
And my other question, now I got an input video stuff, but the other question is. A lot of condo developments around here, they started out, then they stopped because they're go bankrupt or whatever. So my concern is a financial support or strength that you guys have to start out and finish it then, so you don't destroy our landscape.
And if I can speak to that if you like.
Okay, yeah.
There's approximately, with a little help from inflation, maybe we're close to $400 million project here. We do not have banks. This is cash. There's no lenders involved. There's no interest payments due. This is sell them as we can do them and make money we make as we make our money. We're taking that risk. There's no going broke. We have money in our banks. So we're not going and paying 10% interest, 8% interest, 9%, 7%, whatever the market is. It's not there. That's what happened to all the builders that I knew out here in 2009. They all without a doubt lost almost everything. Because the banks had to foreclose because the Fed required them to.
So you're saying you have cash?
We are cash buyers.
You have, in your cash, is it investments, like my husband's a stock broker. So I know a lot of times people with big money, they'll have an investment like that. Mutual fund or something where they're getting returns to build.
Well, fortunately for us, I invented a medical device that did very well. They're doing very well. And has traction. I have 6 million patients. And we have some good money that way and things are going good for us.
Okay.
So I'm able to get back into real estate like I wanted to do. I got kicked out by the recession and, you know, with everyone else and my head between my tail and my tail between my legs and walked away. But I said I'd never come back if it wasn't, if I had to use bank. Not that I hate banks, I just don't want.
No, I understand your.
I like them for myself.
I can see, understand that too.
Okay, anything else?
No, they kind of covered the drainage and infrastructure.
Luann?
If you have 300 or so condo units, does that mean probably 300 boat slips through
I
there?
don't think we've got our dock. Do we have our dock? Whatever annually will allow us to take is we'll have to stay inside of there. So
Yeah.
with water patrol, with those things.
Mhm.
I think we could probably put more than that there, my guess, if we,
They're
we're
good
not,
for that.
we're not going around the sides
Mhm.
and affecting those, like you said, we're staying respectful. We came in first run with buffering ourselves,
Mhm.
policing ourselves, not asking for the world. Going with what we think is, something I don't, if someone came next to me and I had a house, they're really condos. Put your money where your mouth is, put a house next to your own condos. You know, you're not afraid of it, I'm not afraid of it.
Mhm.
Like Curtis, don't like that, you know, we have to see it ourselves, we look at the comps.
We'll just install that.
Yeah, we want, you know, the project will have, you know.
Cameron is
we
a
follow
lot
the
more
flow.
difficult to work with.
Oh, I-
And they have.
They're getting harder, yeah.
It took us 9 months to get an 800 doc approved.
Yeah, okay. For what
We
we
needed
wouldn't
a
have a
10.
unit ready in that time frame.
So just be prepared.
We didn't think we could. We wouldn't be glad if they put a foundation in probably till June or.
And insurance on top.
The last time you need to be here. The last time you need to be here till the buildings are ready, so.
But just as an FYI, Charleston, okay, condos.
Yes.
Are the size that they are, there were supposed to be twice as many condos in there. And everybody wanted one or two docks, slips, excuse me, not docks, slips. And they never couldn't allow them any more dock space. So they folded after, or they stopped their project halfway through. They couldn't build as many condos because of the docks.
Where the envelope is, we just don't know what fits inside of the envelope. We can get you those lines. Along with water control.
You know, I was just kind of a warning, just be prepared, because it was not a pleasant experience.
I've worked with all these guys for 20 times, I know them all my first name.
Never is.
Ron, any more questions? Dave Purdue, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I think the presentation of the project is clear with what information that they are passing out right now. I think the trustees have already asked questions and they've been answered. I really have no other questions to ask. They'd be in a different fashion to ask them than they've already been asked, but I think it's been clear with the questions asked and answered.
Okay, thanks, Dave. With that, if no one else has questions, we'll open it to the public, and if you want to, sorry, I had to wait a minute, but you're welcome to.
I didn't mean to jump the gun.
No,
Sorry.
you're fine. We welcome your comments, so if you want to come up, please come up and introduce yourself.
My name is Bill Borders. Now, my wife and I live at Rizzo's and barbecue, and we're not in the village. But if you will allow me, I would like to give you my perspective on being a business owner on Horseshoe Bend, because it's my understanding that the village has an interest in getting some businesses in the village.
Does that mean you want to be annexed?
Probably not annexed, but.
Just another percent.
The biggest challenge we face on the Bend is seasonality. In fact, the barn is closed 2 days a week right now. And probably Rizzo should be closed 2 days a week right now because, you know, from mid-June to mid-August, business is great. Everybody's down here. Before and after that, business is good. But from November to the end of March, there's nobody down here. And we struggle. We lay people off. We reduce our hours. It's tough. So I would encourage anything that's going to get more people down here in that off season. Condos, R1 development. We really need that down here for the off season. But just down with people. That's all I have to say.
Well, we appreciate you being in business on again. Obviously, you're not in the village and we don't benefit from sales tax. But we benefit when people come to your place.
Thank you.
And take advantage of other restaurants too. But we're very, very happy you're here. So we hope you stay and we hope you get all the business you can to make you successful.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You want that cheap.
Okay. Did you hear your
I would rather say.
Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Curtis, Lee, Bob Avery.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees, thank you for this opportunity. I want to say that the letter that I wrote earlier today, I had no information of some of the things saying today, so some of it's going to be corrected a little bit. But this is what I had to go with from the last meeting. And I'm just going to read my letter. I, along with Jackie Hansborough, a fellow member of the Treetop Village Board of Directors, attended the Village of Four Seasons Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last Thursday. Subsequently, the 5-member Board of Directors of Treetop Village met on December 14th, yesterday, to review and discuss the proposal presented by Kelly Development Group. After careful consideration, our board has serious concerns regarding the proposal as presented. The presentation lacked the level of detail, clarity, and supporting documentation necessary for citizens, adjacent property owners, or decision makers to reasonably evaluate the scope, impact, and long-term consequences of the development.
Errors and inconsistency were identified during the planning and zoning discussion, but were not clearly resolved. No written materials were provided for the audience, and the limited visual exhibits, particularly the topographical maps, were not legible or interpretable from most areas in the room. Planning and Zoning Committee conducted a straw poll at the conclusion of the meeting, which shows a significant opposition from those in attendance. 13 citizens indicated oppositions, and I corrected to 9, as I heard earlier, expressed support. In addition, 10 written letters opposing the proposal were read into the record at the outset of the meeting. Taken together, the record reflects substantial and clear public opposition to the proposal as it is today. Speaking unanimously on behalf of the homeowners of Treetop Village, the Treetop Village Board of Directors formally oppose approval of the Kelly Development Group proposal in its current form. Our concerns mirror those raised by the numerous citizens who submitted letters or provided public comment. In addition, our board strongly opposes any development plan that would fundamentally alter the character of our 46-year-old, 25-acre community, which has been intentionally preserved in its natural forest-like setting. The prospect of replacing the long-standing lake views and beautiful natural sunsets with a dense wall of multi-story condominiums located approximately 80 feet from our property boundaries is unacceptable. And again, I pause to say there's information that I didn't have when I wrote this letter. If Kelly Development Group believes it can mitigate these impacts, whether through building replacement, height reduction, buffering, or meaningful visual screening, such measures must be clearly demonstrated through a comprehensive, professionally prepared and developed plan. Adjacent communities, including Treetop Village, Treetop Condominiums, Regency Cove, along with broader Village of Four Seasons community, deserve the opportunity to review detailed materials and provide informed input before any zoning entitlement decisions are made. The former Bush property is among the most pristine and valuable remaining tracts within the Village of Four Seasons. Decisions regarding its development will have permanent and far-reaching consequences. There's only one opportunity to ensure that this property is developed in a manner that reflects thoughtful planning, respects neighboring communities, and becomes a source of long-term pride to the village as a whole. We respectfully urge the Board of Trustees to require a substantially more detailed, accurate, and transparent proposal before considering any action that cannot be undone. And I submit that for the Village of Four Seasons. Some of it's been explained tonight, Mr. Kelly. There's nothing we want more than a beautiful development on this property. I'm sure that the entire village would love that. We love business. We love all of the revenue and creativeness of it all. I know from Treetop Village, we're getting ready to spend $1,500, and that is not a penny compared to what you're looking at here, but into a 3D visual of a building of an indoor pool that we want to develop, that you can see. You can back off with the video and you can see how's it going to look from this angle, it's sunset and sunrise. It's very inexpensive. These kinds of things, you know, we are not opposed at all. We look forward to a development on this property. Our 71 homeowners just don't want to take this 46-year beautiful view that they bought into decades ago and turn it again into a wall of condominiums. So we would love to see on our behalf more detailed information on how it's going to look. And again, we just saw tonight now 12 plots on the land, but there's much better ways to look at this.
Any questions? Bob, thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, you were the only last one on our list. I will open it up to the public too. Does anyone else like to approach the board with any comments, questions, or the developers?
I'd like to comment again about the Treetop.
Sure, please.
I'd like to address the gentleman that just spoke,
Absolutely.
if that's okay. So, you guys are all right through here, obviously, and you are a condominium project, is that right?
Single family hours.
You have to have to.
Single families,
Whole thing's
freestanding
about-
units.
It's the red condominiums across your driveway, so when you.
There's the Treetop condominiums as a separate.
Okay, that's what right up there. But anyway, so we're trying to be respectful of you and what you're saying. We took your single family and we continued it all the way past to the end. These are single family homes, which would have the same as any single family home that Curtis would have done with people prior. or before or after. A single family, and what a single family footprint looks like, and what a single family home looks like, that's what we will be, and are trying to keep courteous with you as far as that, and there'll be just a small minimal amount of docks right here versus all docks being on the main channel here. And would you agree that we're trying to be courteous in that way, as we're thinking neighborly, but we're not putting 5 stories of condo. This 5-story that you're speaking of, and you spoke of in the letter, we're not that, you're single family homes right here. Your view has nothing to single family homes.
May I speak on?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, okay, Mr. Kelly, thank you for that. My question is are you bound by where you're putting that if they say yes? Or can you say, well, now we've changed our minds?
That's the law. We're stuck to this unless we come back and talk about it again.
And can you develop this 3-dimensional image that's very inexpensive to do, just to show people what it's going to look like from our perspective?
I know what you're speaking of, and there will be those. And they're gonna be more than $100,000 in 3D images for the project.
Sure.
The architect has to finish, before, we haven't even released the architect going through this phase. Oh, and then you're asking also.
Well, the next phase would be the site plan. And that's where we get into detail of buffers and those consist of where everything actually sits. And we have the public, I believe it's a public hearing for that, right? Our site plan, is that administrative approval? Do we have a hearing for that?
You don't have a hearing for that. That goes through administration and goes through the building department, which will be go through the ordinances. And we will do building heights, we will do setbacks, we will do parking space counts, we will do all the safety things that we need to do for this development.
And that's approved by the planning commission board.
That would be, the site plan goes through the building department first, and then it will be looked at by us and the trustees to make that.
And I think we'd also reach out and include tree tops.
What I'm saying is, if you give me your information, I will share. I'm very interested. I'll show you what my thoughts and ideas are, and we can hang on. See what we can do, we'll work together. I usually come up with great ideas, and I'm trying to be cutting edge on it, but I might have the best idea in the world, but I would love to have input. And talk about it. I'm probably gonna take your input on these. If you're gonna look at it, I'm gonna take it on these probably. But I'd love to have you here, and see what we say, and I'll show you some ideas that I can find right now that I have in my idea book. Of what I think I wanna build there, and what I think it wants to look like. I think you'll like it, it's not treetop, but I think it's very, very nice, not offensive to anyone.
Yeah, I would love to.
I'd love to do that, I mean, we are gonna be open book, my number's always available, I'm not gonna block you. I'll take, come talk. I'm gonna move into one of the houses there, I'll be there, you want to come over and we talk down there, I can get your place too, so.
Sure thing.
All right, well, pleasure, thanks.
I got a question, I see your flat right there. Okay, one of the questions I have based on Bob's concern is over here, your treetop houses. And yes, you have, this is all single family.
Right, over here across the code.
Yeah, this code. It's a single family, but here you have condos.
Yes.
Well, if you have somebody, because I have my little map of treetop, you have some houses kind of on that point of treetop and on that western side. So they're gonna see a lot of this stuff also, and I think that's one of his, probably his big concern. So if this is multi-family, you're not gonna put.
And here's what I'm saying, my condominium buildings, 2.5 feet of units are 2.5 are in the ground and 2.5 up. That's equal to a 2-story home. We don't stick way up in the air, and if you see, we are flat roof designs to keep our profile down. Okay, so we don't have a scissor truss running 40 feet up in the air over the midsection of the building.
Right.
We have a rubber membrane roof draining off the northern sea,
Right.
keeping that profile down and clean.
It's gonna be better built than the topsiders, roofs that got blown
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what's wrong.
I just say what I thought.
I know what's going on. He won't do that again.
Yeah.
Well, there goes.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly, you're speaking about the point that's closest to treetop village.
Yes, sir.
That's nearly a sheer wall. That's a big bluff. I mean, they can only go on the very top of that.
No, we have to take some of that down. It won't take the first floor.
It's a,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm just saying, I know, I'm seeing it every day.
Matt, can you explain
But
that?
and actually, Mark, that might be the addition where we try to save a little bit of that bluff on that. No, it's all steep in here, that's why we're building condos, because it's easy to build one so expensive. This is really steep, this is a bluff.
Right, I realize that.
And I think we're gonna save that piece of rock. And that those few trees, and I think it really offset the pace of the project. But they were right, they would have a view of the side of the condo here.
We have a swimming pool in a private area.
I mean, you haven't made a decision, boss, but that was my vision, I'd love to be sitting on a pool and have that great view. Of it.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that with, along with, because you're that your side line. Let's discuss that here, because I have in my mind with them, there's a pool, there's a house there now.
On the top of the.
It's a house, but that's gonna come down, we have to have swimming pools, I believe that is one of the corners, I was gonna say, one of the main swimming pools. Right there, that spot. That's why you won't see anything.
Okay, would love to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Did you state your name, please?
Tell me where your cash is coming. I mean, I know the East Coast and where the,
Coming from myself from Missouri.
no, I mean. People actually who tell you what you're doing.
That's us, that's me, I'm the boss.
You're in, you have control of the cash.
I was lucky enough to invent a medical device that's been worldwide.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna open the floor up to anybody and everything. We've heard a lot tonight. Thank you very much for coming back. Sounds like you answered some questions, provided some information. It's nice to see a little bit more information as always. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Karen Pender, my husband and I have been down here for over 30 years now, going down Horseshoe Bend. There's no way, I'm not opposed to development, but there is no way changing the timing of one light is gonna help Horseshoe Bend traffic. We're gonna have to be here at 4 o'clock in the morning to get on the Horseshoe Bend.
Well, let
With
me
300 more houses.
let me help out about the cut light for you guys, just so you get a little more information to help you.
And you got,
answer that
you've got all
question.
of the access roads dumping into Horseshoe Bend too.
The traffic light that we were talking about earlier is at Bagnell Dam and HH.
Right,
That's
that's
not
not
where,
gonna
that's
change.
not where the backup is. The backup is at the Bagnell line. So, once you go over to Buckhead, there's absolutely no traffic at HH and Bagnell Dam. Would it be helpful? Absolutely. If you figure out how to open up Duckhead, that's absolutely gonna be needed. I talked to Danny Modot. Once, if we do open it up and it goes through over Bagnell Dam down 242, there's a one-lane road that you get to 242, because the right lane goes to Fortuna.
And what I can promise you and tell you is that we're in this, as much as you at this point, we have to sell these things and people are gonna not buy them, if that's the issue. So we're committed to moving into this way deeper, way harder, pulling in these businesses that are coming in and supporting us.
Yeah,
At once. And if we all get together, then we can make something happen.
I just see that you're gonna have to put a lot more traffic lights because you're
Agreed.
gonna clear down on
Agreed.
Bittersweet and we've back up, clear down Bittersweet and again.
And I couldn't agree more with you. There are, we've studied new, and new AI traffic lights, there's a lot of things involved now. As well as a possible roundabout. There's one thing I was not thinking about, the roundabout. I don't like it personally, but they only get on traffic at certain times.
I think that's
So
been.
we're, to make starts.
And they can't do it.
The leadership of the district's doing really well. I don't know if you guys noticed, the snow never hits the ground here. We have one of the best road departments in the world.
But they're also opposed to putting in traffic lights. Our
But they're
best friend is
expensive.
the head of the road district, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay, would you please state your name?
Ron Murphy, and I live over here off in the Cherokee area. And what are we gonna do about traffic? Can we add another lane or two to the HH out there? Because there's times we can't even get to church on Sundays.
Well, appreciate your
It's
concern.
all backed up.
I think that's-
All the way to Bittersweet.
I think it's a lot of concern for a lot of people right now. There's no answer because, I don't know why, but we've got the road district to have to play. We've got the county that owns the roads. You've got, Lake Ozark, and then you got, MoDOT. So there's several players in there to try to flush this stuff through. Now, I don't know what the future is at, but it's a great point. I appreciate you saying that because we all concur that it's a little tough getting to church on Sunday morning.
Well, one of the issues I believe they have, I go to road district meetings too. Is anytime you add or expand a road, Pennington's going through this not too long on the west side of the square. they have to move all the utility lines, the telephone lines, the electric lines, and they have to dig them up and move them over. So if they want to add another lane out here on Horseshoe Bend, all that would have to be done. So it can be done, but it will be very expensive, very time consuming. And then in some places where there's not even enough road to expand to put another lane in there. So that's the issues I have now, not to say that could be done sometime down the way, long time down the way, but that's what some of the hang up is also, besides what Tony said.
It's been a problem. You think it was an easy fix, it would have already been fixed. by now.
Because they've already thought about, well, let's make it one way, the center lane, one way out. And then, but emergency vehicles can't get down it, and I can guarantee you, 30% of the time when I'm playing golf, after I go to church, at the ridge. There are ambulances and there are fire trucks, because we stop playing, we count to see how many there are and count which way they're going. They can get in, but they can't get out. If you've got somebody trying to turn left and they've got that center lane blocked, you have an emergency situation. And that's why they can't make it one way in and one way out.
I think we'll just put a toll booth up and see if that helps.
Nobody want to be able to live out here.
I'm gonna ask if there's any more questions from anybody, the board, developers, public, folks, Dave, any more questions at all?
Nope, I don't have any more questions.
Yeah. I guess at this point, I will ask if the board or anyone on the board wants to make a motion about anything regarding this rezoning. We would entertain a motion tonight. And I'll open it up to the board to see if anybody wants to make a motion on anything at all.
I guess I have to make a motion then that we as trustees vote as to whether it was a tied vote, right? Whether we can vote yes or no to proceed with this project. I mean, can I do that? City attorney?
What's your motion?
To take a vote on whether we decide to let them go forward with this project or not.
Okay, to me, you have to make a motion either that you would like to make a motion to approve or make a motion not to approve.
To approve or not approve the development, because the board didn't give us an option, it was tied.
Correct.
Well,
You can't count the one vote, the board actually
Voted no then,
voted
we don't
no.
count the gentleman that we could not see.
Tony, this is Todd Miller. I want to remind the trustees that the P&Z panel is merely a committee, a subcommittee of the municipality. They give an opinion. They do not have governance and control. This decision is entirely yours. And it needs to be done by a motion either tonight or at a special meeting hereafter. So keep in mind that whatever P&Z came back with, it is merely a recommendation towards this tribunal and this panel. And ultimately, it's your decision.
I would make simply to keep your minutes clean. I would recommend that you make a motion to approve, simply so a yes vote is an approval and no vote is a denial.
Okay.
If you make a motion, that's not your vote.
Okay.
So a motion and a second in the affirmative is usually the cleanest way for your minute taking. And when you do your roll call vote, you say yes or no. That way a yes is a yes and a no is a no.
You understand it? Then tell them that.
I'm not, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm a little amiss on exactly how this is going to be. This is beginning to sound like it's going to be one of the things that we vote upon, and they word it so poorly that you can't even understand whether you're supposed to vote yay or nay. Todd, I don't know if there's how to step in on this or something, but it needs to be real clear, I think, on what exactly is the motion here, or how this motion comes about. If nobody wants to make a motion, how's this work?
Thank you, David. Just to mirror the gentleman in the audience, this would be a motion to approve, and I would suggest that you do a roll call vote thereafter. If there isn't a motion, it fails for lack of a motion.
So should it be worded as, I make a motion? Okay, now I'm totally, as you stated.
Motion to approve.
To approve. The presentation of the planning or the presentation made,
So I'm gonna jump in here.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
So you make it how you feel comfortable with, that matches how you want to state the words.
Okay,
And.
make a motion to approve the development, provided by
The rezoning
the
application.
rezoning application. Do what?
You're approving the
Approving the
rezoning.
rezoning.
That doesn't mean that anybody's gonna vote for it, that's just a motion.
That's the motion, okay.
So why don't you clarify what a yes vote means and what a no vote means on your motion?
Okay.
So, Tony, this is Todd Miller again. Luann, just to correct you if I may, you are doing nothing on this topic except determining whether their application to rezone from R1 to R2 is approved. That's all you do on these things. All of the representations and all of the plans that were presented to you today mean nothing. Essentially, they are proposals, but unless they're subject to a PUD with conditions upon building that specific plan, these changes could be fluid. The gentlemen in front of you have provided some plans, but I want to mirror Bob's sentiments, not in opposition, but I want to mirror his sentiments that if the plans do not, and I apologize for the GPS, I'm in St. Louis trying to go to a hearing tomorrow. If the plans are not concrete, if there are not conditions that the rezoning is conditioned upon specific plans and the rezoning is approved tonight, you have essentially given these people or these developers or any of their successors and interests the ability to build anything that is R2, not the plans presented tonight, not any particular type of condominium, but anything that is permitted pursuant to your R2 zoning classifications. So tonight you should consider and only consider whether they have presented enough information to persuade you that it's in the best interest of the village to rezone that property from R1 to R2.
I make a motion to approve.
Or anybody there makes the motion, then the motion has to be seconded even to vote upon. If nobody seconds the motion, then we're still standing here. What, right?
Right,
Yeah, I think we're getting close, Dave.
yeah. Make a motion to approve the application.
Well, I'm just trying to get council to give us that answer.
David,
Todd,
that's exactly what you're doing. So if someone entertains a motion and provides a motion, then it needs to be seconded, and then there is a vote. You're absolutely correct.
So I make a motion to approve the application to rezone the property from this property from R1 to R2.
Yeah, as presented, right? I mean, because there's some R1 in there too.
So do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
To correct Ron, if I may jump in here, to correct Ron, there are no conditions or plans that you are approving tonight. All you're approving is their representation that they wish to build something similar to this. You are rezoning the property, and that is all you are doing tonight. There is no guarantees of what the development will be on that property. If they presented a planned unit development and you had conditions contingent upon the specific plan presented, then yes, you have conditions. But tonight you are merely voting or not voting to rezone the property from R1 to R2.
And until we vote, nothing changes. I mean, we just made a motion to vote, right?
No.
So until we vote, nothing changes.
Luann made a motion to vote to approve the going from R1 to R2. Todd is saying that if we approve that without any specifics, then if we approve it and it goes through, then they can build either what they're saying or anything else. Or there's an option, Todd said, that we could maybe have them come back with a PUD But if you vote yes right now to saying go from R1 to R2, then we have no say, the village has no say on the restrictions on or post guidance on their building and what they did.
You all
That's
understand?
not, no, I don't need to.
Well, I'm gonna clarify something.
Renita's close. Your approval tonight would give them the ability, or their successors in interest, the ability to build anything consistent with your R2 zoning classification. So that's as simple as I can make it.
Okay, before I call for a roll call vote, I want to make sure if it's yes, we know we're approving the zoning request. If it's a no, are we denying the request?
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the rezoning. Second by Ron. Is there any other more discussion regarding this from the board? Oh, okay. I'm going to call for a roll call vote. I'm going to ask Danielle to please perform the roll call.
Ron Weiss.
No, don't call on me first.
This way.
I'm gonna vote no.
Leanne Ruck,
No.
Renita Jones,
No.
Dave Purdue,
No,
Okay, the motion did not pass. Did not get approved.
Now, would it be possible for them, if they want to still do it, come back with a request for a PUD? Would it be possible for them to come back and request a PUD? Todd?
Of course, yes. These are sophisticated parties. They can go back and they can make a more concise and detailed plan and present that either pursuant to a rezoning request from R1 or from R1 to R2, or they can come back with a PUD and say, these are the exact and specific development plans that we have. And we are willing to be conditioned to build those specific plans.
And then we as a village would have whatever they present and we're agree to it, then we as a village would be able to enforce those agreements, correct?
Yes, if you were to approve it today, and it doesn't sound like you have, and that's not telling these gentlemen that you're not interested in development in the village. It's just you want more detailed information, it sounds like. And then if you were to rezone it, they would have essentially the ability to build anything consistent with your R2 classification. They would still have to go through the planning process with Ike or the building committee. They would still have to be consistent and compliant with your code and code enforcement language as well. So there's a lot of hurdles yet to come, but rezoning is the first one, and it's a more damning decision because it's hard to reverse that. Essentially, once you give the rezoning, it opens it up for any development consistent with an R2.
Okay, with that, I'm going to end this agenda item. I do want to thank you guys for being patient, for participating, providing information. You came here, several representatives with information, so again, thank you for doing your.
I have one question, we can kind of decide how we move forward, we really. And I know the reason it's a no is that's, we can figure out how we regroup. The reasons there was no, is it not enough control, was it things like that? Or?
My reason for saying no is I'm looking out for the overall, village trustees and comprehensive plan. Because we're looking at a lot of more specific stuff. My fear is that, because I've seen developers do this many times, they say they're gonna do this, they end up doing something else. That's my big concern. I don't see enough stuff there that I feel confident that you're gonna uphold a lot, some of the stuff you said, or you're not gonna totally change it. That's my reason for that.
Some more clarity.
More clarity.
Buffers. Not opposed. If it's.
Not totally opposed. I still question because I don't think condo, I hate all those big buildings out there. But if something's done very nicely and tastefully, I could maybe change. I'll give you an example. It's not condos, it's townhomes. But across the river, across the lake from, I think, the lodge, there was a complex years and years ago, and their townhomes are brown. And they're set back, I think the Browns built it. And there's grass and there's some trees between the building. So I know condos are totally different, but it has a nice aesthetic thing. And I think that would probably help. If I'm confident that I know you're gonna carry through with
I would like to just share this with you. I think this is probably some of the driving forces. I'm just kind of
Yes.
looking at it from a board perspective. And I know that this is part of the comprehensive plan. You're all working to take this. You've probably seen it. But I think this has some bearing for the board. And I'm kind of talking for some of them, but
No, that's right.
this may be, you know, what's kind of the, what we heard from us tonight.
So that's the survey results of.
Yeah, you're more often.
Single family homes.
The comprehensive plan we did back in 2007.
That was part of your survey of citizens.
Yes.
Right, our students.
So I had looked and did a summary of the comprehensive plan of things that most people, the one of the development residents were looking for single family was number one, number two was multi-resident, multi-resident was number 7. There are 2 reasons for life is living in the community, number 1, quiet, and number 2, the scenery. And the other item I had was, well, this had to do with traffic, but we know it's with the community. So that's where I think and also coming along with that comment.
Answers the same, or is it?
We need to do what our constituents want, and our constituents want it to be a nice aesthetic community that's quiet.
Not opposed to wanting more information.
Not opposed to more information.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think, you know, the comprehensive plan was done in 2017, and that's, you know, what people are looking for, and, you know, I kind of would like to stick with that.
Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I echo what Ron said, the same thing. The comprehensive plan, it was set up as in the residences, the R1s, that type of thing. Commercial was another big thing. And R2s with the condominiums was not. So that would be my biggest no to all of it, as well as, you know, I don't think it was a very clear plan of exactly what was going on with everything. So
This one today, the second sheet, the one that actually lays it out. So I'm sitting here going, well, I think that kind of was all over here.
Or the docks, or and you don't know, Ameren does the docks, but still, just
Well, I still feel a really strong no, commercial, but condos from you, the group, is what we get.
Well, I was not opposed to the first one that was turned in. In
Right.
fact, I even have a picture of what you guys presented.
It's single family on the lake and duplexes along the entry.
It's
Yeah.
great being,
Oh,
the wonderful estate homes, you know, people were 15 to 17 or something they were talking about, and then townhomes and villas as you drive in, a gated community. You know, because if you've been gated, you're not gonna have a public road, so.
And by having single homes along the lakefront, it softens that harshness of condos. Yeah, condos are just, there's so many of them, and they're just.
And there's a lot of them done good, and that's really why we're here today, it's not about that far.
And a lot of it too, I've heard over the time, is the assessments. I have 2 people in my neighborhood, they moved out of condos because the assessments have gotten so high on condo complexes and dock assessments that having another set of condos, I mean, initially they may sell, but I don't know how many that would be.
We kind of hear the opposite, and we also know that the condo owners are interstate, they're pretty much gone. They don't live
What's
here.
true?
They're not here. We get all single family homeowners who are buying like condo people. Condos make up 50% of the market right around this.
But we're mostly single
I
family.
get it.
You know, we would love to work with you on some of the.
I guess what I'm saying is, we get the opposite, we hear. We don't want to do work, we're willing to be money contract, we're willing to pay, anyone take care of the outsides. It's something better, yeah, we're down here, they're here to relax, we've got short time windows to relax, kids, grandkids, parents. So they're willing to pay that money, now some people, they might talk about, sure, I'll pay it and get out.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's the market. 800 pounds a year, out here. Turnover, and people only
I
have.
think what Bill was talking about, having more people here in the off season, condos like that are not going to bring more people here in the off season.
But the property managers are here.
Yeah.
Dock holders are here.
Yeah.
Boat companies are here. They're servicing the roads. The people that he has to lay off, they have construction jobs everywhere as well.
I know a lot of people who live in condos, that's not necessarily true.
Well, yeah. But by and large, most of them are seasonal.
Not true. I know a lot of people who live in those.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
I mean, it's what the lake is, lake is what it is.
What's basically lakefront, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just sort of like.
I think if you decide, if Mark, you would entertain something of totally, it's your money and you gotta do what you gotta do.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you, we can work with you on something, there's kind of an approach.
Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you so much. With that, we're gonna be moving on to the rest of the agenda. If people want to stay, I, understand if you do not, I understand that as well. So we'll wait, we'll give a little time here for people to. Really, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break here. So hang with us for a little bit.
I do not remember what I got from there.
Thanks for your time, guys.
I had a rack. I'm sorry about
Hey, Tony.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to let you know I'm still on the call. I'm going to mute myself so that there's no background noise. But if those gentlemen are still in the room, you can certainly encourage them to consider single family residences, because it's my understanding the Osage Indian Casino is going to need 1,500 employees. The Oasis is going to build their and complete their project by 2026, and they're looking at 800 new employees. So the single family residence demand is going to be there.
I did want to add, it kind of stepped out, but the niche organization, who is a national organization that ranks schools, and a lot of people go out, if you know this organization, they rank the village of best place to retire in the state of Missouri.
Oh, damn. Congratulations, yeah.
That to us says, okay, there's gonna be coming in to the community that are full-time retirees, and again, we hope for that, but we do hope that there's some consideration, and not that they walk away, upset. I'm sure they're not happy. I'm sure they don't want to different approach.
I'll see you guys again with something new.
Please do. We're not going anywhere. We're here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to proceed with the, first of all, I want to thank the board for spending the time and listening. Todd, thank you for being engaged. This is something that's not just a flip of the coin. They're easy to talk about, an easy decision. I think we can take a lot of consideration there, and a lot of good questions, a lot of information the board was able to do. So thanks to you guys for making somewhat of a difficult decision. So we made a decision, and we're going to see what happens next. So with that, we're going to go to new business, building code regulation 25.08. And someone will present this to the board, what this is.
Oh. Okay. The ordinance of our building codes is right now is 2018. I meet monthly with the Lake Area code enforcers, and we're all gonna be within the next, switching to the 2024 code. So this ordinance just says that we are changing our ordinance from the 2018 code to the 2024 code. And then our national electrical code will go from the 2017 code to the 2023 code.
Okay.
Board members, this is Todd. I fully support Ike's position and proposition that you should update that information. I just had a trial in 2025 where the code enforcement officer was referring to codes that they had adopted some time ago, which were quite outdated. So I think it's important to keep that up to date, and particularly representing to others what version of the codes you're using, so that they can look at the specific version as opposed to older or newer versions.
Yes, we need a motion to approve.
The motion to approve the recommend or the building code regulation 25.08.
And I'll make a second to that.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
All right,
No, I'm trying to go fast here. I'm trying to go fast. So, we need a motion to have the ordinance, read by title only. Sorry.
Oh, I'll make a motion that we have the ordinance read by title only.
Oh, second. Wasn't paying attention, sorry.
Okay, bill number 25.08, an ordinance of the Village of Four Seasons, Missouri, amending and reinstating chapter 8, building and building regulations at article 2, technical codes, section 18 through 19, international codes, and 8-20 electrical codes to update the adopted building and electrical codes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the reading of the ordinance 25-25-808.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Need a motion for a second reading by title only.
I'll make a motion that we have a second reading by title only.
Second.
Any discussion? Would you please read title? Yes.
Bill number 25-08, an ordinance of the Village of Four Seasons, Missouri, amending and restating, I keep saying instating, sorry. Restating chapter 8, buildings and building regulations at article 2, technical code, section 8-19, international codes, and 8-20 national electrical codes to update the adopted building and electrical codes.
Okay, we need a motion to actually approve now.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance 25.08.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, thanks everyone. Okay. The next item on the agenda is golf cart ordinance and resolution. We've been obviously talking about this for quite a while. It's been a lot of input. We've had this probably for a little while with the help of Todd and others to get to the point where we can have a ordinance for managing golf carts, as well as some other vehicles. Tonight, I just wanted to see if we are close enough to continue discussion, if there's still any questions, and if anybody thinks that that's something that we might be able to make a motion on tonight. There's been, Daniel put a lot of things in here. I'd say that there's some significant things in here that I hope people understand. For example, the restrictions for golf cart use is basically streets 35 miles an hour or less, which that means off of the bend, but could go down Cherokee, it could go down Bitter Street. There's some miles per hour in here of 20 miles per hour. There's no carts on the walking path. There are some things for proof of approval to be able to do this, or like insurance and getting some information by the clerk and the building inspector to give people authorization, stickers, whatever, to actually give that vehicle permission to be on the streets. I'm sure there's some other questions and comments, but I'm going to stop there with the ones that I know of. I'm sure you guys know some others that are significant, so please.
Elizabeth line 1, para 15, thank you.
So please speak up.
I've just had a couple of questions about, the inspection process. It says you must have adequate brakes and tires and all that. I mean, how much going to inspect, we're gonna brake.
45, thank you.
Well, cars probably don't have very good brakes, but we don't how much inspection are we gonna do.
You might like to.
And with that, I mean, how are we gonna inspect them? We gotta bring them up here. Most people don't have a trailer. How are we gonna get them inspected?
That was one of the
so
Ron, if I may speak to that's a fluid topic, unlike the big topic that you guys just decided a moment ago, which is more of a permanent topic. You can put this into place, and then as a fluid topic, you can speak to the sheriff's office. It's my understanding they were going to accommodate you and do the inspections of the golf carts at some regionalized locations, either at the village hall or at some locations throughout the village. And you could do it 3 or 4 times a year. You could do it once a year. You could do it a variety of things, and perhaps buying through a survey or some public feedback after you make this decision tonight, you can then put more concrete terms as to how those inspections were to occur.
Well,
Yeah, we talked to the sheriff's department, do they want to do that or not?
well, we've kind of changed that. We've had conversations with the sheriffs. And these two proposed not to include them, that they were busy, and that they actually raised their hand and said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys could take on the role of doing the inspection and handing out all the information. You want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, we just, essentially it's a checklist, and it'd be the same checklist that they would use, and with them having staffing issues anyway, it is a checklist that we could go through and do, and you do it at registration, and then that's that. We did also talk about when we first roll it out, we could set up different locations around the village, but then beyond that, they need to come to the village.
Because we talked about maybe in the estates, have everybody come to the pool at a designated time and get theirs inspected.
Yeah, half people don't live there full time.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see how that.
And like Todd said, this can be a fluid, we can figure out what's gonna work best on when we can inspect them and whatnot, but I think to some degree it does fall to the people that own the golf carts to get them where they need to go to be inspected.
Yeah.
And I think like Todd, you're saying, as we do this, we may find a better way to meet with these people. You know, we may see that there's a whole bunch of people down Bittersweet that didn't come right away. Well, we'll do round 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you all want to try to accommodate as well, but not get abused, so.
Yeah.
If I may, this is also, there's a secondary motivation and motive behind this inspection process. You're going to have people dragging in as seasonal visitors. You're going to have them dragging in once they find out you can have a golf cart in the village. They're going to drag them in on trailers, and they're not going to have them inspected. So this is a way to have more of a comprehensive control of transient people who come in, dragging their own trailer, and bringing their own golf cart in for the purpose of a 2 or 3 day visit, perhaps. So this is another deterrent from having wild, outlandish, dangerous, loud, etc. golf carts in the village. I just don't know how effective the inspection process will be. And if I may, you're paying the sheriff $82,000 a year. Perhaps they can find a way to help you at least 3 or 4 times a year doing inspections of these vehicles for that premium amount that you're paying them.
As far as the, it says in here somewhere about the slow moving vehicle signs, are we talking about these big things you got on the back of a tractor or what, a flag?
In the MoDOT literature, Ron, that's generally considered that orange triangle on the back of a slow moving vehicle.
Yeah.
Is that a reflective also? Items,
triangles.
But
I think when I originally drafted this, and it's been a while since I've looked at it, but I seem to recall you had to have brakes, lights, horn, and the slow moving, designation, so that somebody would be able to know that you're not going to be able to keep up with the normal pace of traffic.
Also, how most of these golf carts got seats on the back, that they have around here. How do you mount a great big triangle on the back of it?
Or if you have a bar on the back with your,
Yeah.
It's not in there.
But a lot of people use a flag on it.
I can work with the city and volunteer my time in inspecting golf carts. If you like, I'm retired, nothing else to do. I built race cars for 11.5 years. I know.
Ron brings up a good point. There's a lot of what ifs that are going to happen after you enact this, if you choose to do that tonight. And again, they're fluid topics that you can address in a whack-a-mole concept after the fact.
Well, and I was thinking on Ron's note about that signage. Would it also be good though, to have a flag that sticks up, because I'm thinking about if you're down the way behind coming up, that, and there's a car or two cars with some, you know, on the road behind a golf cart, that flag might detect.
And Renita brings up a good point. I haven't seen the proposed bill in a while. You may want to read it. That may be one of the conditions that I wrote in there already. I know MoDOT requires you to have the slow moving vehicle designation and a flag to drive UTVs on the roadways, if I'm not mistaken, on their highways. So it's rarely done. Rarely do you see those flags. So again, it's, you know, it's an impetus and an enforcement measure that you can try to stress, but I don't know how often people would, you know, adhere to it throughout the year.
On page 3, under section 30.16, safety and hours, golf carts, LSVs, ROHVs, and UTVs are required to have a slow-moving vehicle triangle attached to the back of their vehicle.
True, yeah, that's there, but I'm talking also having a flag that sticks up above, so it used to, the thing used to say a flag, a safety flag that also had so many feet or something above the golf cart, so you can see it.
Well, I was thinking more of one or the other, not
Yeah,
both.
exactly. It also says the board may require additional safety measures by resolution. That's what Todd's talking about,
Yeah.
the fluidity of it as we get going. We
True.
can make those.
Yeah.
But I also think some things like that should be kind of specific, I mean,
Yeah.
listed, I mean, specific things should be listed and not just the fluidity, and then we, you know, what I'm saying is if we decide to do the flag sticking up, then I think it should be kind of in the ordinance listing. That
I've
people aren't
been,
guessing.
yeah, I've been educated, there's certain cars that are lower than golf carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really are.
You drive one of them, don't you, Tony?
What's the fine
We won't
for
mention names.
not,
500.
I mean, I'm just asking for a friend.
So Ron, you don't have a specific fine schedule yet. That's another fluid topic. After you pass this, you can then come in on a subsequent meeting and say, here's the specific fines we want to implement. $25 first time, 50 up to whatever, but they would essentially fall into the category of what we call a misdemeanor B, which is $0 to $500 at the emphasis of the prosecutor. So for today, for example, today in Osage Beach, gentleman was convicted of prostitution. The fine was from $0 to $500. He was ultimately fined $250 for his actions. So somewhere within that range would be the situation. If this was a drunkard who was offensive to the law enforcement and showed no remorse for their actions, I would probably request the judge to impose a fine higher or closer to the 500 than the 0. If it was a young person or someone perhaps by the name of Ron Weiss who was going from his neighbor's house to another residence and it was somewhat innocent and they were remorseful, I would think that the fine would be minimum.
There you go.
Also too, you know, requiring lights, if they're only operated from dusk to dawn, what do you need lights for? Or dawn to dusk, I mean.
The theory being just like when they implemented in the 80s, the driver lights during the day, the emphasis would be, we want lights on all the time, essentially while you're using this, just to give another measure of safety, you know, because they're going to be riding around with, you know, vehicles doing 35, 45 miles an hour. So the lights would be an extra precautionary tale or extra precautionary safety measure that you could encourage people to use.
You probably have to say that you have to turn them on because they don't come on, they don't have driving lights like a car, you have to turn them on.
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
We do.
Yes, I would say the vast majority of people have a toggle switch or a pull switch of some sort, and it would be a manual on or off to run their lights.
But that needs to be put in the ordinance.
So you have to put that in, spell that out too, probably.
You could, again, at a fluid topic, after 2 months, you might say, hey, we forgot this, or we forgot that, or we don't like this, or we don't like that. And then you come back and you amend the code to address any concerns that the public might bring to your attention or that you might notice as you see people driving through your community.
Yeah.
What do we, what's the difference between an ATV and a UTV? Or what is an
It's
ROHV?
defined on the first page, it has all the definitions of them. And
Yeah. In general, the ATV is thought to be almost a motorcycle type vehicle, and the UTV is a side by side, Ron. But again, the definitions are more clearly set forth elsewhere.
Escaping and stuff, because our dog park is used totally.
The definitions are taken straight from this book.
Okay.
That the sheriff's department.
One of the things I thought about is really the only place you can cross Horseshoe Bend or HH is at the light, okay? At the lodge. We probably need to define what an intersection is, because there is an intersection between Regency Cove and Cherokee and HH. Now, why wouldn't somebody think they can drive across there?
Yeah. So you're saying it needs to be at a light.
The light at the intersection?
Well, that would be,
Yeah.
or something, because, you know,
You specify which intersection.
Yeah.
it does on the resolution. But I don't think it does in the, I don't think it does in the ordinance.
No, it's.
Yeah, it's in the resolution that you cross at. The lodge. Okay, but it's not in the ordinance.
If you just cross, where can you go? I mean, you can't go
You
down.
can't, so we can't
Horseshoe
leave
Bend
these
Parkway. You
states.
can't, there's
Yeah.
no way to get there to cross.
If you guys like to,
Your stuff, thank you, Shirley, now, thank you.
We can't go anywhere.
would you guys like to add something?
Well, neither can anybody further down on the
Yeah.
bend. They
Yeah.
can't go anywhere either.
But
So
most
I mean,
people don't
it's
think
not-
about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you wanting to specify the ordinance that it's a lighted intersection?
Yeah.
Okay, or you want to add more cross points?
No, but I'm not saying it needs to be a lighted intersection or whatever. What do you think? Because that's the only intersection people are gonna be allowed to cross.
And you can't get there.
Can't get there from there, but that's beside the point.
Well, the people from the club place can go over to the lodge.
Right. Yeah, you got-
You understand what you're talking about?
Find the intersection.
I did. I'm not paying a whole lot of attention.
You got it.
I think most of my questions were answered by what they had.
Okay.
So I looked at this and got a couple questions. On section 30.11, item C, on page 2, section 30.11, item C. Yeah, it says that shall not be operated on any village street having posted limit sign greater than 35.
Right.
I question that only because when you go down to the fire department, the speed limit changes to 30. Eagle Drive and Horseshoe, well, and that's considerable going out that way. Eagle Drive, it's a curve, that's kind of a blind curve, and there's 2 fairly new houses that are built there. And they've had in the past 9 months, 8 to 9 months, they've had vehicle driving off. One demolished their trash enclosure, one ran into their garage and did some structural damage. And the same house that happened to had a car not too long ago, run off the curb and go into, hit his truck driveway and damaged it. So I guess my thing is, if you're doing 35, that may have to be a stipulation. I think that part of the road, that 35 and the.
Would you like to add HA specifically say 35 and HA?
65 miles.
Okay,
It does,
the other
that's
side.
HH in there.
Yeah.
You can't get on HH in the rules.
But my thing,
Well, HH goes to 35,
Yeah,
so you could get on that part of HH.
but it says you can't get on Horseshoe Bend, period.
but I want clarity because people aren't gonna, because it goes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. And it says 35, I think you're gonna have a lot of people go, oh, they're not gonna consider that Horseshoe Bend because it goes to 35 and it says 35 and they go, oh, I can do 35. So maybe just a clarity of not going on.
Where does it say that?
I read through this, here. I can't say exactly what it was. Huh?
I think we might have taken that out.
Yeah, I don't see it.
So
What about 35?
I think we took out street range.
It's on the resolution.
On the resolution.
Number 3 on the resolution is where it says not on Horseshoe Bend.
Yeah.
Well, then I think we need to put that in ordinance in.
Probably.
But I just think it says on Horseshoe Bend, but I mean, I'm just afraid at 35, they see the 35-mile-an-hour thing. So I don't know if that's a place that you wanna clarify, I don't know, maybe that's one of those fluid things, I'll just wait and see if somebody gets hit or
If you wanna
something.
add the resolution on it, how they take, you can add it, of course, that's not what we want.
Yes, I think so. Yes, I think so,
Okay.
because people aren't gonna see the resolutions really, they're gonna go look at.
Well, when they register, they'll get a copy of both and they'll sign off that they received both.
Okay, but if somebody is reading it, say, I'm new to the environment place.
We're
and I'm
gonna
gonna read it.
tattoo this right on here.
Okay, that's fine, I don't care, I don't care. So,
Okay.
then the other item I was wondering is on section 30.12,
Section 30. Well.
number 8. Why in the prior draft, it had included a rear view mirror on your golf cart, it doesn't in this draft, how can we redo it? I think there should be one for those that you're not gonna be able to see if there's cars behind you.
Very good idea.
So I think what Todd, this is the way I understand, Todd jumped in a resolution. I think he's trying to coach us to put things that could change in a resolution. Because I think a resolution is easier to approve or something. I mean, Todd, why do we do a resolution versus putting everything in ordinance?
A resolution is basically a confirmation of your administrative act. So if you would have, for example, voted earlier to fund the pet park next door on an annual basis, then you would have done a resolution to confirm your administrative act. This is actually where you're making new law. So I would not encourage you to do a resolution on this topic.
But you don't want us to do
a resolution.
We need a resolution for the fine, don't we? Or the fee for the registration, isn't that when we usually do resolutions?
No, well, I mean, you can, Renita, there's a fine line between a resolution and a motion and approval of a bill. If you, at a subsequent date, create a fine schedule, which I'm not sure is in your best interest. Again, leaving it wide open gives some prosecutorial discretion. And on my end, I can either punish or protect a resident a little bit more if I'm not told this is exactly what you have to fine this person. So I guess in a roundabout way, I would encourage you to do a particular fine schedule. I would just leave it open and say it's a misdemeanor and can be fined from 0 to 500. As to whether you have to do that tonight or whether you can do that at a subsequent event, you can certainly do it at a subsequent event, but I would ask you to do it by bill and adoption rather than just a resolution.
You provided the resolution.
It's the resolution to adopt the golf cart bill.
Resolution of the Board of Trustees of Village of Four Seasons, Missouri, approving and establishing an annual permit fee for the use and operation of golf carts, low-speed vehicles, and similar vehicles on municipal streets.
So the resolution is for the permit fee.
Yes.
That's what that is. And then
We also
the
have
ordinance is
here
for.
too.
We have ordinance, which that's our rules.
And in the ordinance, it doesn't have the registration permit fee, but it does have the penalty fee of not to exceed 500 amount.
So, Todd, are you encouraging us to move everything out of resolution into the ordinance?
No, I'm not saying that at all, Tony. I don't have it in front of me. So you've kind of got me off guard a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. I presented that to you months ago, actually 3 years ago. And now it's coming back around. If we've got a resolution in front of you, then you can certainly do the resolution. As for creating the new law with respect to whether you permit golf carts or not, I'd ask that you do that not by a resolution, but you do that by a motion and approval of a bill.
I would suggest we keep both now, since there's some information, good information in both of us.
Yes.
And then down the road, we want to, move over, but at least it's got stuff in it that I think is pertinent to what we want to do. Is that make sense, or no?
Yeah, I would probably have both the ordinance and the resolution, because we've had it on one and the other one.
Okay.
But so can we add the area, the rear view mirrors onto the ordinance?
Sure.
Then, the other thing I noticed in section 30.11, item D as in donut. It says that all these vehicles shall not exceed 20 miles per hour on any roadway.
Because the golf cart's not supposed to go more than 20 miles an hour.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true. I was just thinking.
But you go down.
But you're also including, the off-road vehicles in there too, and they run a lot faster than golf carts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that.
We're trying to do that as another safety factor, is keeping them slow, even for the ones that can, let's just don't go fast.
Yeah.
Because they pass my house down there at 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour.
Well, you have to obey the speed limit on the street, no
Oh, yeah,
matter
we
what.
can do them in cars then.
Have to do.
Yeah,
We're in a 25 mile an hour zone, they come back there at 50 mile an hour.
right, I know.
We have to
Yeah.
go, soon they can drive on the golf course, half the golf course.
Is that everything?
No, it's-
Well, they should,
Put it
because
out
that's
people down the road,
private
but they too.
Once you- once you bring it up
Okay.
into the process.
Todd, I have one question.
Go ahead.
Should we state anything in this ordinance that, not, I think we state that you can't drive on the pedestrian trail or sidewalks. Should we specify the golf cart path? Or, because they're not supposed to be on that either. That's private property. So should we state or the, golf cart path associated with the code?
It's probably an overreach, Luann. It is private property. As a municipality, you have some oversight over private property through code enforcement. But to say that you can't go on someone's private property would be akin to putting in that bill, you can't go on Luann Ruck's driveway and camp out with your golf cart. So at some point in time, you have to shut it down and say that's not necessary. I believe that would just be an overreach in this one. It is private property, and they can protect their own private property by calling law enforcement and asking them to, remove someone from their private property because they've trespassed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Renita, maybe you have something else, or?
No, I just have a statement as to why I'm gonna vote. That I want in the record.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody else is gonna say yes.
Well, let's just get to the point where I wrote down some things here that.
Of course, we're still working on this, because this has to be inserted, do things inserted, correct? So we're not
So
really.
we can't vote on it.
Yeah, we can't vote on it.
Well, you can make a motion with the things you want to add. Yeah. You've done that. fast.
Hey, Luann, you're hitting that hole, I'm afraid it's gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just did what
Yeah,
not, yeah.
not my usual place. Okay.
Any other comments, questions? I'm just gonna offer a suggestion. I've heard add the following to the ordinance. And I don't know if you wanted to add a flag, or did you say you were okay with your?
Well, yeah, I would say flag or,
Low speed.
slow moving vehicle sign. I mean, I don't know why you need both.
Say or,
Yeah.
like in case somebody wants to. Extra.
What's making you city?
I mean, a flag, I don't know if you have to specify that the flag be, like the orange slow moving vehicle. I mean,
The
because you
other
can
ordinance
get those.
say 30 square inches and surface, and it needs
Yeah,
to be
the-
day glow color.
I
And
looked on Amazon today, they do make those that look like a slow moving vehicle, so they're orange.
Okay, and then I had lights always on.
Yeah.
Safety, so it's not in there, even though we think that's a good safety thing. Only cross at lighted intersection. And add, as it says in the resolution, move the same comment from the resolution about you cannot run on HH. And then I had another that says, add review mirror.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's hard to understand.
I have a question about insurance. Do any of you guys already have insurance on yours? Okay, how much does yours cost you a year?
$83 a year,
How much?
83 a year.
That's about what mine is, $80, I think.
Okay, because I had called State Farm and they said it's not included in your homeowner's
Yeah,
policy,
right.
and they said it'll be less than $800 a year.
Well,
I'm State Farm, and I got a
State
brand
Farm.
new golf cart sitting in the driveway, it's gonna cost me $83 a year.
Yeah.
83, okay.
That's what we got
Because they were
State
saying, you know, we
Yeah,
have to be
that's my-
specific as the model, when it was made, how many, you know, how many seats and all that kind of stuff, and then we can give you a quote. But they said
Yeah.
it'll be less than 800 a year,
Yeah.
okay?
$83.
That's not bad.
Okay,
Okay, would anybody like to move forward a motion based on these items to be added back into the ordinance?
Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's, first of all, wow, this is really, this is a lot of conversation about this particular topic that it sounds to me like we have a lot of unanswered questions. Second of all, I apologize, I'm not there. Because listening to this, I don't know if anybody's gone through this, but this is a very difficult read and hear. I can hear Todd like he was sitting in the car with me. I can hear Danielle as if she was sitting in the car. Renita, you're just about washed out. Luann, you're kind of there. Yeah. Anyway, the speaker system sucks, but that maybe we can fix that some other time, and that's not the issue tonight. But again, I haven't caught all that I really need to catch on this. It appears to me on the first thing again, as I just said, is it seems to me like there's a whole heck of a lot of questions. I know you guys have been working very hard on this thing. And you know, I don't have a good enough bite on it to only say that, you know, I'll vote on whichever direction that the majority of the people are going. And that's a poor way to say, you know, if this is going to a vote that's the way I would vote. But, you know, there's a lot of meat here. You know, I don't have to eat it all, but man, we're going to be playing this game forever, you guys. I mean, I hear what Todd's saying, and I know he's exactly right. It's fluid. It's not like what we just went through 2 hours ago. This can be changed and whatever else. But I mean, when are we going to stop these changes? I mean, you know, okay, we got a little of this and we got a little of that and we got this and we got to change that. And this is going to go on forever. You know, I'm not into this forever. You know, I'm about forevered out. So anyway, that's all I got to say. I hope I came in real clear like Todd, so everybody can hear me fine. Okay. Thank you.
Let me just add a little history. This has been going on for 4 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I agree. I know.
I mean, sooner or later, we're gonna have to start something. And
I think we're getting close.
the thing I want to emphasize is these guys need some time to get this thing off the ground. So even if we do say yes, they're gonna need 2 or 3 months to kind of get going
Yeah,
here.
if you want it ready by.
Tony,
And I guarantee you, every time we go through this, it's gonna be. Well, so it's fine.
Tony, is there a representative of the sheriff's office in the room?
I've been wanting to turn that off for a long time. I didn't know.
Tony, did you hear my question?
There's no representative from the sheriff's office, but they were involved in some meetings that we had about this ordinance.
Right, but are they present as
No.
as I speak? No, okay. So keep in mind, folks, that the enforcement of this, the enforcement arm is entirely with law enforcement, sheriff's department. They wrote 2 tickets last month in November. So I just don't know how aggressive they're going to be towards golf carts. So you could make this thing as thick as the Bible. And if you can't get law enforcement to enforce your codes or enforce your municipal codes with respect to golf carts, you will have some people taking some liberties. But you need to have some structure put in place just in case you have a severe offender so that you can throw the book at them, just like the short-term rental thing. I've prosecuted 3 or 4 in the last 10 years to the severity that we just did. But it's there. So we have it as a tool in the event that we need it. That's what this is. It's merely a tool to give people some parameters on how they must act if they use a golf cart in the village. It's a fluid topic. You'll change it many times over because somebody will come in and complain that you know, some kids were doing this or some adults were doing that. And you'll continue to massage it and use it, you know, in the future. But as far as today is concerned, I'd just ask if this is a topic that you're serious about, I would put something in place and consider adopting the bill and make it part of your code of enforcement so that kids and adults can use it. And then we just address it as we go forward as needed.
Well, I think Tom makes a point, we have nothing now. And this gives us at least some control. It will be more control than we have, but, I do expect something to change. So let me just ask this question. Are we ready to do something with this tonight?
I feel we should add these few things that we said, and then I would think that would kind of do it, and then play it by ear and see fluidly as time goes along.
That's okay with me.
And maybe I could be ready for the January
Okay.
board meeting,
You know, all you have to do is by that time, just vote on it.
Yeah.
Because it will have had enough discussion.
yeah. I think-
Okay, so you'd like to move this to the January meeting to do the vote?
Yeah, make this motion here and,
I made some notes. Well, what motion are you?
yeah, well, just to make the changes.
Okay, Louis got, Daniel's got.
Table it.
We will put this on the January ballot. In between now and then, please reach out to Todd on any questions you have or clarification, so that when we come into the meeting, we're crisp and ready to say motion and go. Is that fair?
I will make the changes and send it back to you, so you'll have the updated changes.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay.
I think we're done. So, anybody like to make a motion to the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:41.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Dave, thanks for hanging with us. Todd, thanks for hanging with us.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Thank you for being there.
Thanks, folks.
You gotta go there. You know, this road going out off Cherokee out Horseshoe Bend, that's a dangerous son of a gun.
Say that again.
When Cherokee gets out here to Horseshoe Bend, it's